Cosmic Jester. Let me tell you, this isn't your average top 40 stuff. Definitely some, well, interesting themes going on.
Yeah, we're talking occult symbols, a whole lot of dark imagery, and a story that seems to kind of unfold across multiple tracks. It's like a musical grimoire, like a collection of spells woven into these songs.
Exactly. You sent these in and basically want to know what it all means, and honestly, so do I. We're on a quest here to uncover the story that Cosmic Jester is telling.
It's going to be a fascinating challenge, that's for sure. Lots of layers to unpack here.
And you've pointed out some key tracks you want to explore in detail. The Ouroboros, I'm a Warlock, and The Loop, and War of Love, plus a whole bunch of others with titles that just, I don't know, give me the chills, like Vacation in Hell. Seriously.
We'll get to all of them, don't worry. But let's start with the Ouroboros, as you suggested. The title itself is a major clue right off the bat.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't, spent their weekends browsing occult texts, remind us what the Ouroboros even is.
Right, so the Ouroboros, it's that ancient image of a serpent or a dragon consuming its own tail, forming that endless circle. And it represents these cyclical processes like death and rebirth, the constant interplay of creation and destruction, and maybe even, as some esoteric traditions suggest, the idea that everything is interconnected, part of one grand cosmic cycle.
Okay, yeah, I see that. And that cyclical theme is definitely like super present in the lyrics. There's that line, every time I die, I wake to a new one, a new sky. This being, whoever they are, isn't just dying, they're being reborn over and over again.
And not just reborn, but remembering. I'm the only one who remembers all of the lives lived before this one, the lyrics say. That raises a really fascinating question, right? What kind of being actually retains consciousness across these cycles? It's not just a physical rebirth, it's like a continuity of the self, of memory across, I don't know, lifetimes.
Right. It's like they're trapped in this loop, reliving these lives endlessly, which makes the next song, I'm a Warlock, even more intriguing, because now we've got a name, an identity for this being stuck in this crazy cycle.
Yeah, and not just any identity. Warlock, in occult traditions, it carries some serious weight. It's not just a whimsical wizard or a benevolent sorcerer. We're talking about someone who commands, like, dark forces, bends reality to their will, maybe even challenges the established spiritual hierarchies.
Yeah, I get that. Definitely not the kind of person you want to borrow a cup of sugar from.
Yeah.
There's a line in the lyrics that really stood out to me is like, watch my spelling. That's why they call it spellcasting.
Yeah.
Almost like Cosmic Jester is acknowledging the power of words, the way they can be used to, I don't know, shape reality in a magical sense.
Absolutely. It's that blend of darkness and playfulness that makes Cosmic Jester's work so captivating, I think. They're not afraid to, like, delve into the depths of occult knowledge, but they do it with a wink and a smirk, like they're letting us in on a cosmic joke.
Okay, let's get to the song you really wanted to spend some time on. And The Loop. Even just the title, it's heavy, right? It suggests that this warlock, trapped in this eternal cycle, is like desperate to break free.
And the lyrics paint a really vivid picture of that desperation. I have lived 27 lives. I have tried to die by knife, by gun, by jumping into the mouth of a shark, they sing. We've already established that this being can transcend death, so why this intense desire to escape the cycle? What could be so unbearable about immortality?
Yeah, good point. What has this warlock experienced in those 27 lives that makes, oblivion seem preferable? And there's that other line, I am becoming the scourge of the multiverse, hints at a darkness, like a destructive potential that maybe even the warlock themselves is struggling to control.
Right. Is this destructive impulse a result of their entrapment, or is it something, inherent to their nature? Are they trying to destroy the fabric of reality to break free? And what happens if they actually succeed? What are the consequences for the multiverse? It's these kind of questions that make this whole deep dive so fascinating.
I know, right? This is getting pretty wild. All right, now we come to the song you wanted to explore in depth. War of Love, but we've hit a little snag.
Yeah, unfortunately, the lyrics for that one, War of Love, they're missing from the materials you provided.
So we can't really dissect the song itself. But that title, though, War of Love, it's too powerful to just ignore. Even without the lyrics, it evokes, I don't know, conflict, opposing forces, maybe even a battle within the warlock themselves.
Exactly. Love and war, creation and destruction, these are dualities that are at the heart of many occult traditions. Like, think about yin and yang, the light and shadow within each of us. Perhaps War of Love is a metaphor for the warlock's internal struggle. Maybe it's even the key to understanding why they want to break free from the loop in the first place.
Okay, so we may not have the lyrics, but we can still speculate. What kind of war of love could a being as powerful as this warlock experience? What forces could clash so violently within them that they'd want to unravel like the very fabric of reality? I'm already hooked.
And we're just getting started. We still have a whole stack of songs to unpack, each one offering a glimpse into this, well, complex and often unsettling world that Cosmic Jester has created. Let's dive into the next track, From My Box, and see where this musical journey takes us.
All right, let's crack open this box and see what's inside.
From the lyrics, it seems the box isn't a physical object, but more like a, I don't know, conduit for astral travel, like a means of accessing different dimensions and manipulating reality. The Warlock sings about moving through constellations and creating civilizations. Pretty powerful stuff.
And destroying them too, right? I can destroy a civilization from my box, the lyrics say. This power to create and destroy, it feels connected to that Ouroboros cycle we talked about earlier. Is the Warlock constantly making and unmaking realities as they move through these endless lives? It's a lot to think about.
It's a fascinating possibility, and there's this line about reaching ascension and the ignition of the universe's emulation. It suggests a level of power that, borders on the divine, the ability to shape reality on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, I can see that. And that makes those lyrics about needing divine protection even more intriguing. It's like, who needs divine protection when you're the one pulling the strings of the universe? Unless, maybe that's a hint that even a being as powerful as this warlock isn't entirely in control. Like, what are they afraid of?
It's a brilliant paradox. On one hand, you have this assertion of godlike power, but then on the other hand, there's this underlying fear, a need for protection from something even greater. Maybe it's the very forces they've unleashed, the consequences of tampering with the fabric of reality. Who knows?
Okay, so we've got this powerful warlock trapped in an endless cycle of death and rebirth, wielding incredible power, but also maybe a little afraid of what they've created. Where do we even go from here?
Well, let's see what the next song, Grave Enemies, reveals.
Yeah.
From the title alone, it sounds like we're about to enter a realm of conflict.
All right, throw on the enemies. I'm ready to see what kind of foes this warlock is facing.
Well, the lyrics describe this battle between, get this, vampires and werewolves, locked in a deadly war. But there's a twist. It seems death actually brings them peace. They were buried together for eternity. It's a strange kind of juxtaposition of violence and unity, right?
It's like a, I don't know, cosmic Romeo and Juliet situation, but with more fangs and fur. And the only one left standing is this mysterious shadow who, quote, won the war. Could this be a clue about the warlock's true nature? Are they, like, manipulating this conflict from the shadows?
It's possible. The shadow could represent the darker side of the warlock's being, the part of them that thrives on chaos and destruction. Maybe it even connects back to that war of love concept, suggesting a conflict between these opposing forces within the warlock themselves.
This is getting deep. Okay, on to the next track. Help, I'm trapped in here. This one's short, but intense, like a desperate cry for help.
Yeah, the lyrics are incredibly raw, expressing this feeling of entrapment and, powerlessness. The warlock cries out, "Help, I'm trapped in here," and talks about having their power stolen. It's a stark contrast to the godlike persona we've seen so far.
And there's that weird phrase, El Cor. What would you make of that? Doesn't seem to correspond to, like, any known occult term. Right?
Exactly. Could be a word of Cosmic Jester's own invention, a clue to the warlock's unique nature or origin, or maybe it's like a code word, a hidden message for those who, I don't know how to decipher it. Either way, it just adds another layer of mystery to this whole already complex narrative.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. What's next on our, occult playlist?
Let's delve into I Am Abaddon. Now, this one draws on some heavy biblical imagery. Abaddon, also known as Apollyon, is the angel of the abyss, a figure associated with, destruction, death, and the underworld.
Yeah, definitely not someone you want to invite to a dinner party. And the lyrics definitely lean into that darkness. I make people beg for death, the warlock boasts. I'm the reason he committed suicide. I tortured him. It's pretty chilling stuff, honestly.
It is. This song seems to confirm the warlock's, destructive potential. The darkness we've glimpsed in previous tracks, they're not just a powerful being, they're a force of chaos and suffering. And remember that line from End the Loop about being the scourge of the multiverse? It's all starting to connect.
Right. Maybe this whole embrace of destruction, this identification with Abaddon, is part of the warlock's plan to escape the loop. Maybe they believe that by causing enough chaos, they can somehow break free. Who knows? It's a wild theory.
It's a dark and fascinating possibility, that's for sure. And it raises a question for you, the listener. Is this destructive urge, is it inherent to the warlock's nature, or is it a consequence of their entrapment? Are they inherently evil, or have they been driven to this point by the endless cycle of death and rebirth?
Whoa, that's a tough one. But I think we need more clues to figure that out. Luckily, we've still got a whole bunch of songs to analyze. This deep dive is getting more intense with every track.
It's fascinating how Cosmic Jester seems to be using their music to explore these, like, really dark existential themes. It's pretty heavy stuff.
I know, right? Definitely not your typical party playlist.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what makes this whole deep dive so compelling, you know? Each song is like a piece of a puzzle, and we're trying to figure out what the bigger picture looks like. So where do we go from here?
Well, the next track, Poker with the Devil, seems like a pretty good place to start. The title itself, it conjures up all these images of, like, classic folklore and mythology.
Totally. It's like that age-old tale of someone making a deal with the devil, right?
Yeah.
For power or knowledge or whatever, no matter the cost. And the lyrics definitely play into that whole vibe. We're in this smoky casino, the stakes are high, and the warlock is going head-to-head with, well, Satan himself.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is the symbolism of the cards, right? They represent fate, chance, that unpredictable nature of life. The warlock's soul is on the line, and those riches are dancing fire. It makes you wonder, what are they willing to risk everything for? Is it power, wealth, or maybe even a way to, break free from that infernal loop?
And spoiler alert, they lose. The house always wins, as they say. Which could be interpreted in a few ways, right? Maybe it's a cautionary tale about the dangers of seeking power through dark means. Or maybe it's more of a commentary on, like, the futility of trying to cheat fate.
It's also worth noting that even in defeat, the warlock doesn't seem to give up. That defiant spirit is still there, burning bright.
Okay, that brings us to Relentless, which feels like a declaration of that, unyielding nature.
Absolutely. The lyrics are all about embracing those darker impulses. I am the rage, they sing, the remorseless, the unyielding. It's almost like they're reveling in their power, their refusal to compromise,
And there's that line, never said this quest was easy, but I changed to create. Like, they're acknowledging the struggle, the pain, but they're not backing down. They're determined to reshape reality according to their will, even if it means embracing their, well, darker side.
And notice the emphasis on the word jester. It's not just about power, it's about playing with power, manipulating the cosmic order with a sense of, dark humor.
Okay, so we've got a relentless warlock, possibly fueled by a desire to escape the loop, willing to gamble with their soul and reshape reality to get what they want. Where do we even go from there?
Well, things get a little spicy with the next tracks, Sex Magic Parts 1 and 2. And before we dive into the lyrics, I want to emphasize that sex magic is an actual concept in certain occult traditions.
Okay, so we're not just talking about a catchy song title here. This is real occult stuff.
Exactly. It's about harnessing sexual energy to fuel magical workings, often for purposes of manifestation or creation.
And the lyrics definitely don't shy away from the details. We've got phallic imagery, a focus on energy flow, and a very direct approach to, well, the act itself. It's like Cosmic Jester is giving us a masterclass in sex magic, albeit a very explicit one.
But there's also a sense of caution in these lyrics, right? The warlock talks about the cost of using this kind of magic, the secrets and desires that come into play.
Right. It's like that classic genie in the bottle scenario.
Yeah.
You might get what you wish for, but at what price?
It's that classic Faustian bargain, the idea that power comes at a cost. The warlock is offering us a glimpse into the potential of sex magic, but also warning us about the potential consequences.
Okay, so we've got sex magic, deals with the devil, a relentless pursuit of power. What other occult delights does Cosmic Jester have in store for us?
Let's move on to the Beast and the Harlot. This one draws heavily on imagery from the Book of Revelation, specifically the figures of the Beast and the Harlot, often interpreted as symbols of corruption and, earthly power.
And the warlock seems to be claiming a connection to these figures, even embracing them as a source of power. I'm enlightened in every religion. You can try to fight it, but I'm chosen, they sing. There's a lot of confidence there.
There's a line that really struck me. Natural warlock, not your typical Twitter witch. It's almost like a mockery of those who, dabble in the occult without truly understanding its depths. The warlock is positioning themselves as the real deal, someone who's not afraid to tap into these ancient, powerful forces.
Right. It's like they're saying, I'm not messing around here. This is serious magic. Okay, so we've got biblical imagery, a sense of chosenness, and a whole lot of confidence. Where do we go from here?
Let's step into the Phantom. A song that seems to explore the idea of the warlock as like an interdimensional being existing beyond our normal perception. They talk about being astral, eternal, and even address the listener directly. If you can hear me or something, then you're already insane.
Okay, that's a little creepy, but also kind of cool. It's like they're breaking the fourth wall, acknowledging their presence in our world, even if we can't fully perceive them.
And there's a promise there too. I can show you the way, they sing. But where are they leading us? Is it a path to enlightenment or something more sinister?
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Okay, let's see what the next track, Undead King, reveals.
This one leans heavily into that classic undead archetype. The warlock embraces their immortality, boasting about their ability to, rise from the dead in their dominion over the night. You can try, but you'll never take me down. I own this night. I wear the dead man's crown, they declare. Pretty bold statement.
It's a powerful image, right? The warlock isn't just surviving death, they're ruling over it.
And they seem to actually enjoy the whole process of dying and coming back to life. Every death, my hunger refilled, they sing. It's like they're feeding on the cycle itself, drawing power from that endless dance of creation and destruction.
Okay, so we've got a phantom warlock, an undead king, someone who seems to exist beyond the boundaries of life and death. Where do we even go from there?
Well, let's take a trip to vacation in hell, shall we? From the title alone, it sounds like this could be a fun one.
Okay, but I have a feeling this isn't your typical beach getaway.
You're right about that. The lyrics paint a pretty vivid picture of hell, complete with, like, demons poking you, skinning you alive, and maybe even BL out your eyes. It's not exactly a relaxing retreat.
But what's interesting is the tone.
Yeah.
It's almost playful, like the warlock is inviting us to join them in this infernal realm.
And there's that line about staying forever is your obligation. It's a reminder that choices have consequences. And in the warlock's world, those consequences can be, well, eternal.
Okay, I think I've had enough of hell for one day. Let's move on to something a little less intense.
All right, let's tune into Whispers. This song takes a different approach, exploring the idea of communication from, I don't know, beyond the veil.
Okay, so we're going from fire and brimstone to subtle whispers. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, the warlock describes hearing whispers, seeing synchronicity, receiving messages from the universe. They talk about waking up at 3:33 a.m. and p.m. and 666, numbers that definitely have some, occult significance. It's like they're tuned into a frequency that most of us can't perceive.
And there's that line about the universe listening to every conversation, revealing its intentions and signs and synchronizations. Almost like they're suggesting that nothing is random, that everything is connected and like meaningful in some way.
It's a perspective that can be both enlightening and overwhelming, right? The more you open yourself up to these unseen forces, the more you start to see patterns and connections that were previously hidden. But it also raises the question, how do you function in a world where, every little thing might have significance?
That's a good question, and one that I don't think I have an answer to. But let's see what the next song, Your Future Self, reveals. The title alone suggests we're getting into some time-bending territory.
You're right about that. The song introduces the concept of the warlock's future self trying to communicate with their past self. They claim to know everything that's going to happen, every mistake the past self is going to make. Pretty trippy stuff.
But there's a sense of frustration there too, right? You can't hear me no matter how loud I scream, they sing. It's like they're trapped in a time paradox, unable to change the course of events.
It adds a layer of tragedy to the warlock story, wouldn't you say? They might have immense power, but even they can't escape the flow of time or alter their own destiny.
It also raises a fascinating question. If the warlock knows their future, are they choosing to follow this destructive path? Or are they powerless to change it? Are they a master of their fate or a victim of it?
That's a question that could haunt us long after this deep dive is over. It challenges us to consider the nature of free will and the limits of our own power. But for now, let's set those philosophical musings aside and dive into the next track.
Okay, I'm ready for whatever cosmic gesture throws at us next. Let's see what we've got.
All right, so we're back, ready to tackle these last 3 songs in this deep dive. I gotta say, you really sent in some seriously intense lyrics. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, it's like we've fallen down this rabbit hole into the mind of Cosmic Jester.
It's remarkable how they weave together all these occult threads, The Ouroboros, that warlock figure, Abaddon, sex magic, whispers from beyond the veil, even glimpses of time travel. Each song just adds another layer to this, complex and often unsettling tapestry.
I know, it's wild. Like a crash course in the occult, but set to music that's both captivating and a little bit, well, terrifying. So what's next on our mystical playlist?
We have Demi, Divine Protection, and then A Love Note by Your Pillow to unpack. Each offers a pretty unique perspective on the warlock's journey and their relationship with the forces they're wrestling with.
Okay, let's start with Demi. Any thoughts on what this one could be about? The title itself is kind of cryptic, right?
Yeah, it's a good one. In a lot of spiritual traditions, Demi refers to like a semi-divine being, something that exists between the realms of mortals and gods. Could be a demigod, a powerful spirit, or even a being that embodies both, I don't know, light and darkness.
Interesting. And the lyrics definitely support that idea. The warlock claims to be all-powerful and cruel, someone who shapes reality and takes pleasure in suffering. There's that one line that really sent chills down my spine. I need the parasites, the cancer, the decay, need the feels, so kids we waste away. It's a disturbing glimpse into their motivations for sure.
Yeah, heavy stuff. It's like they're saying that suffering is essential to their existence, maybe even the source of their power. Remember the Ouroboros, that symbol of endless cycles? Perhaps the warlock is trapped in this loop because they need the constant interplay of creation and destruction, like the ebb and flow of pain and pleasure to fuel their being.
Whoa, that's a dark thought. But it kind of makes sense, given everything we've heard so far. All right, well, let's move on to Divine Protection. The title alone feels, I don't know, ironic, considering the warlock's embrace of darkness, to put it mildly.
Yeah, there's a definite paradox at play. The warlock, who claims to be all-powerful and aligned with forces that most would consider, evil, is also seeking divine protection. It's a strange juxtaposition, for sure.
And the lyrics are full of these taunts and challenges. God will protect me without a doubt, they sing. And then there's that line, I think it's stopped by a bra, because it's just a lucky coincidence that anyone hates me. It's like they're daring someone to test their supposed protection. But there's also a hint of, I don't know, insecurity there.
Maybe it's a defense mechanism, a way of denying the consequences of their actions. Or perhaps they truly believe they're acting on behalf of a higher power, even if that power is, twisted or corrupted in some way. It's a fascinating psychological puzzle.
So we've gone from the depths of hell to whispers from the universe, explored the idea of the warlock as a demigod, and pondered their rather strange need for divine protection. It's been quite a journey, that's for sure. What's the final stop on this occult roller coaster?
Let's end with A Love Note by Your Pillow. This one takes a different approach. It's more intimate and kind of unsettling, even romantic in a, twisted way.
Okay, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. What kind of love note are we talking about here?
Well, the lyrics are full of dark imagery. Haunting your dreams, siphon your soul, terror is the banquet I've long since fed. It's like a confession of love, but a love that's rooted in, I don't know, fear and control.
And there's that line, I feel so close to you, no one else has touched your soul like I do. It's as if the warlock is speaking directly to the listener, creating this sense of intimacy and connection. But it's also a violation, right? A possessive claim that's both chilling and strangely seductive.
And that final line, thank you for being mine for eternity. It's a disturbing blend of gratitude and a threat of, eternal entrapment. The song leaves us with this unsettling feeling that the warlock's influence extends beyond the lyrics, like they're reaching out to the listener, seeking to draw them into their world.
So what does it all mean? What story is Cosmic Jester telling through these cryptic and often terrifying lyrics? I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
I think that's the brilliance of Cosmic Jester's work, It's open to interpretation, full of layers and symbolism that invite us to, delve deeper. We've explored themes of power and despair, the cyclical nature of reality, the struggle between light and dark. We've encountered a warlock who's both, captivating and terrifying. A being who embodies both divine and demonic qualities. It's a lot to unpack.
And maybe the most important question of all, what role do we, the listeners, play in all of this? Are we just passive observers of the warlock's journey? Or are we somehow being drawn into their world? It's something to think about.
Definitely something to ponder. Cosmic Jester has given us a lot to think about, that's for sure. A glimpse into a world where magic, darkness, and desire, they all intertwine. And as you continue to, explore their music, just remember, sometimes the most profound truths are hidden in the shadows.
Well, this has been one wild ride, that's for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the occult world of Cosmic Jester. Until next time, stay curious, stay open-minded, and maybe keep a nightlight on, just in case.